When I was young, it was just my father and I. In his last years, he was obsessed with myths about immortality.
I may have found the next piece to the puzzle, but they're following me. I know them by name now. Trinity.
Of course, no one believed him, including me.
It's been 7 years since Crystal Dynamics' 2013 Tomb Raider reboot launched to critical acclaim and revitalized a series that was left in the dust by Naughty Dog's Uncharted games. Fast forward to now, and the series appears to be on a hiatus after the underwhelming release of its latest entry, 2018's Shadow of the Tomb Raider. Crystal Dynamics currently has its hands full with the live service Avengers game that's launching in September, and Eidos Montreal, which was the lead developer on Shadow, is rumored to be working on a Guardians of the Galaxy game. So it seems that, for now, Tomb Raider fans won't be seeing Lara Croft again for a good long while. Usually, when a long-running game franchise reaches this point, its developers try to find a way to mix things up in order to breathe some life back into the series, such as how Sony Santa Monica reinvented its God of War series with 2018's God of War, or how Capcom has changed Resident Evil throughout the years to keep the series fresh. So here are some suggestions for how Crystal Dynamics can reinvent Tomb Raider for the next generation of consoles. Though I have enjoyed the recent Reboot trilogy, I'd say that its version of Lara Croft was the weakest aspect of all three games. In the first Reboot, she's a compelling character, an introverted college student who got shipwrecked on a mystical island, fought to survive, and became a brave hero in the end. It wasn't the most original character development in the world, but at least she developed. Then the next two games didn't really build on any of that. Instead, she spent those games following in her deceased father's footsteps, which resulted in dull, unremarkable stories that focused on Lara, her dad, and an unmemorable supporting cast. Lara lacked charisma and constantly talked about how much she missed her dad, while he was presented as a typical obsessive genius archetype. So that's why I'm proposing a time jump for the next Tomb Raider. Set the game a few years after Shadow and change up Lara's personality as a result. People can change over the years, so why not Lara? Make her a wisecracking adventurer who loves exploring lost ruins and learning about mysterious civilizations. Someone who enjoys the same adventure that the player is playing through. You know, make her actually fun. One of the more memorable moments I had with 2017's Uncharted: The Lost Legacy was realizing that its protagonist, Chloe Frazer, was a better Lara Croft than the current one. Though Lost Legacy was more or less a typical Uncharted game, Chloe was a major reason why I made sure to complete the game because she was an entertaining, easygoing, but also tough, character who had a well-timed sense of humor. While I don't want Lara to be an exact copy of this character type, I think the Chloe Frazer direction would be a good place to start the process for developing Lara's character for the next Tomb Raider. Death Stranding was one of 2019's most divisive games because it was a weird 40+ hour journey where you deliver packages to people, take care of a ghost detector baby, and clumsily fight tar monsters. What could the next Tomb Raider learn from this bizarre sci-fi road trip of a game? It could learn how to make traversal more challenging by giving players more agency. One of the ways the games can shake the also-ran status they currently have with Naughty Dog's Uncharted games is by making the traversal more complex. While Uncharted's climbing animations easily outclass those of the recent Tomb Raider games, Naughty Dog's platforming mechanics are too automated to be as engaging as Uncharted's combat gameplay. This resulted in a lot of boring, barely interactive gameplay segments in Uncharted 4, which featured the most climbing sections of the entire series. In comparison, the Reboot trilogy's platforming was more engaging because Lara was using her tools to traverse precarious areas instead of just only climbing up convenient handholds. In the first game, Lara had climbing axes and rope arrows. In the sequel, she added a grappling hook and used arrows to create her own platforms. And in the third game, she got a handy rappelling rope that also allowed her to wall run. It wasn't the most complex platforming in the world, but at least there was more going on than what's usually found in other AAA games. So the next game should expand on that by taking some notes from Death Stranding. Give Lara a stamina bar meter for when she's doing something strenuous, such as climbing up slopes and crossing through deep rivers. Also, let players have more freedom to use her traversal tools instead of restricting their use to specific designated areas. Lara is supposed to be exploring harsh, unforgivable places, so make the traversal and platforming more of a challenge in order to reflect that. Despite the 2013 Reboot game being marketed as the origin story of the new Lara Croft, it was actually the third Reboot game in the series that brought an end to Lara's origin arc, according to Iris. As confusing as this messaging was, which what was the title Rise of the Tomb Raider supposed to mean then, her rebooted trilogy is complete, so I think it would be a good idea to get rid of the skill tree upgrade system featured in the games. She's supposed to be a skilled explorer and fighter now, and skill trees have been done to death in the world of AAA action games. It wouldn't make sense at this point to have Lara relearn how to silently kill enemies from trees or how to craft bombs. Instead of rewarding exploration with XP and skill points, players should be rewarded with unique gameplay affecting rewards, such as new traversal tools. Also, ditch the Arkham-style survivor vision to keep players immersed in the world. Have Lara find her way around an open-world environment with a map and compass in her hands, instead of glowing objective beacons that are highlighted by some sort of vision mechanic. The exploration was one of the best aspects of the recent games, but it was hampered by feeling too artificial because the survivor vision pretty much highlighted everything and the signposting for tombs was too obvious. Every open world game's exploration is designed in specific ways, but the best ones, such as Red Dead 2 and Skyrim, know how to disguise that design by making the exploration feel less guided and more natural, so the next Tomb Raider would do well to follow that design philosophy. For me, the recent Tomb Raider reboots had less than stellar narratives in combat. I've already harped on how bad I thought the stories were, and though I don't think the combat was bad, I wouldn't mind if a next-gen Tomb Raider game kept going in Shadow's direction by de-emphasizing combat or getting rid of it altogether. The combat of the recent games was serviceable at best, and I didn't miss it all that much in the latest game. When it comes to the story, I think that it's important for a game to play to its strengths, and to me, the strengths of the Reboot games were the exploration, the puzzles, and the platforming. The next Tomb Raider should focus on evolving those aspects and feature a simple, non-intrusive story that just gives context for Lara's new adventure. Also, I think that the next game should feature Lara going at it alone. The best moments in the new games are when she's by herself and exploring, not when she has to interact with unmemorable, one-note characters. I should note that this opinion piece isn't a design document. I have no game development experience, and I don't think that my suggestions would be easy to implement in a new Tomb Raider. But I think that in order for a long-running game series to survive, it has to evolve. One of the most significant criticisms of Shadow of the Tomb Raider was that it felt more like an expansion pack than a full-fledged sequel. So, if the series wants to make a major impact on the Xbox Series X and PlayStation 5, it'll need to seriously change things up instead of sticking to a tired formula.